how am I supposed to get this in here? Who? Who designed it so big? The bigger... Oh, I'm going to go find it. Right, going to find him right now. Come here, you. Come here. Right, I'll sort him out.
Boss.
No ticket indeed. Hi everyone, welcome to another Broken Meeple review. This should be probably one of 3 more reviews I'll be able to get out before Christmas starts. Once Christmas is on, obviously I'll go back to Somerset, be with the family. I'm not going back for the whole Christmas holiday though, I will only be there for a few days. I'll then come back, do more reviews, get some more games played, so that I'm ready to do my top 10 of 2017 by the end of the year. Certainly earlier than it has been in previous times. But I digress. Let's get on with another review, and that is for one of my favourite games of all time. This is a top 10 game for me, which is the incredible Scythe. Now I know that Scythe is being called overrated by many, it's got very divisive viewpoints, and I'm totally fine. I mean, come on, I just did a top 10 overrated games list recently, where I went on a load of sacred cows about how much I thought they were overrated. Perfectly can understand why people think Scythe is overrated, and this was a big sort of comment on the video itself actually, because people were wondering if I would put Scythe in there. No, this was in my top 10 of all time. I love Scythe, but could easily understand why people don't like it. I can see why I like aspects of it and why some people don't. Perfectly easy, if you don't like it, that's fine. Although, to be fair, if you don't like it, you're probably not even watching this review anyway, so what am I going on about? But Scythe, love it. It's got Invaders from Afar, which was the first expansion that we already had, which had 2 new factions put in. And this is the Collector's Edition, which has everything apart from the art book, which I didn't desperately need. Number 104 out of 11,000 plus. It's like, I love this game. But, filled to the brim. Like literally filled to the brim with a quality broken token insert. And that's, well, we'll get onto that aspect a little later. Let's put this one down for a minute, God it's heavy, and get on to the highlight, which is the Wind Gambit. This is the newest expansion to come out for Scythe, and it introduces 2, what I believe to be fan-made expansions to Scythe. I believe they originally started off as a fan expansion, and then JB Stonemaier basically said, ooh, this is actually really good, let's make it official, let's tweak it a bit, and we'll put it into the official game, and now this is what we've got, the Wind Gambit. It introduces 2 new modules, which you can chop and change if you want to put either or both into your normal Scythe game. The first up is airships. Airships give each faction their own airship, which has a variable set of rules governing its range, how it operates, what it does aggressively, and you can move these around the map and they'll allow you to transport workers, resources, and do certain different things depending on these variable tiles. You'll select 1 passive and 1 aggressive tile for the airship's abilities at the start of a game. They will dictate special abilities, range, transport capacity, that kind of thing, and then everybody's airship follows those rules. You move them in a similar way to other units and they spice up the game, and what can I say, the miniatures for them, oh my god, they are nice. Let me just get these out of the way for a minute. The various tiles, we'll get onto them later, but whoa, these are big. Very big. I mean, look at the scale of this compared to like my head. These are some big ships. They look great. I love these things. They've even got like little platforms on them. You probably can't see in this picture. Maybe I'll get a close-up one of you. But where you can put the resources and the workers you're transporting. They're great. They look the business. And these, there's 8 passive, 8 aggressive tiles for each. And it chops and changes the game. It's such a simple include. The rules for how they work and how they interact with other aspects of the game are easy to teach. There's very little reason not to throw them in. They're just that simple to teach. However, it does also offer a variant where you can choose a passive and an aggressive tile for every single player. Not recommended. Well, unless you are die-hard Scythe fans. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of a die-hard Scythe fan, but if everybody who's played knows this game inside out and back to front and upside down, because having that many different abilities for airships going around means you've got a lot more to track, and it just makes the game a little bit unwieldy at that point. I'm just happy to have one set ability for all the airships in the game, because people will utilise them differently. Not everybody will even use their airship. Some people may use them constantly. So one ability of each tile is perfectly fine. And that's all the airships are, literally. Here's your airship, this is what it does. Play the game as you would any other normal game of Scythe. It's a great addition and just one that I throw into every game, really. The next one, though, is probably the one I've actually been crying out more since I first played Scythe. There's not a lot of bad things I can say about Scythe, but one of them was that the end of the game can be a little abrupt. Having 6 stars, game ends, total up points. You can kind of see it coming, so it's not like it's a complete surprise, but it does feel a little anticlimactic, and it's one of the flaws that some people have with Scythe. I totally get that. The resolution tiles, though, the second mechanic it throws in, sort that problem out. At least, to a pretty good degree. Essentially what you have is 8 tiles that you can just randomly select from at the start of a game. In fact, I just took a bunch of them out actually with the thingy tiles. And basically, they're these. You shuffle them at random to start the game, and then you choose one of them. Each one has a differing type of end game condition, which is different from just simply having the 6 star out. And there's a good variety in here. I mean, you can have everything from a factory explosion where, as soon as you get 5 stars out, you then have a ticking time bomb before the game ends, at which point the factory blows up and you get popularity based on the people who died in the explosion. Cool little twist there. You've got your very standard sort of King of the Hill type thing. You've got a Doomsday Clock where the game literally ends in 20 turns, flat. You know it's coming, you know it's building up, but you've got 20 turns. Can you play the long game in 20 games? You're going to have to speed up a bit. Mission Possible, the Deja Vu, so, basically, when you remove the final accessible encounter token and have 6 stars, that game ends. There's various ways that these chop and change how a game plays as well as how it ends. These I've been waiting for. Because this gets around that whole problem of, this game just, ends too abruptly with the 6 star thing. Throw in these, and you sort that problem out. Yeah, I mean, some of them do relate to, once someone has done this, game will start to end. But you have more ways of seeing it coming. And even then, it chops and changes the game really nicely. Because if you thought, well, I'm just going to focus on getting 6 stars. Well, now you've got to think, let's say for that factory explosion, I could get my 5th star out, but I want to have a lot of people near that factory at the end so they can all perish in the explosion. Or do I care? Do I just rush for those stars and see if everyone else starts gunning for that spot? But then, of course, if I go there, then maybe I need a few people to quote. It makes you think about different ways to develop your strategy. And they're not like, ridiculously game-changing mechanics. It's not like you couldn't teach this to brand new players. In fact, I would argue that the Doomsday Clock is actually quite a good one to play with new players as an alternative to the 6 star normal variant. Because, the game may go on a bit longer than 20 turns normally, and, people will want to more get a taste for the game. Do the Doomsday Clock. 20 turns, done. Keeps the game length shorter, certainly, for respect for 20 turns. And it makes people worry more about immediate issues rather than playing the long game too much. But I've used a few of them. I digress. Yes, I've not used all 8. Give me a break. How many games of this do you think I can play? But I've used several of them, and each one has been pretty decent to work with. And I suppose King of the Hill, not a massive favourite of mine, but then that's a fairly standard one. But I will say that certainly the Doomsday Clock was a good one. I also quite like the Spoils of War, where it's more about having not only having the stars, but also having a certain amount of money. So that makes you think more about your money that you've got. Land Rush, where mechs are limited to transporting workers, and then the game ends based on controlling different territories. I mean, a lot of them still require you to have 5 or 6 stars out. So it's not like you can win the game by not having any stars, but it gives you an alternative condition that you must meet as well. So as well as having the 5 or 6 stars, you might need to have 10 territories, $40, some other number of mission objectives, whatever. And it just means that the game isn't just quite so abrupt. You can see when people are getting to that point, because you can see everyone's money, you can see everyone's stars, everything's all public information. And so that's literally all this does. And for that alone, this for me is like a 10 out of 10 expansion. Every single element from this I want to include. I want to include the resolution tiles, and I want to include these airships with cool artwork and the passive aggressive abilities. They really do change up the game nicely. It's a solid 10 for me based on the mechanics. A little bit of an issue with something else though. As you might have seen in the introduction, this box struggles to get in this box. Now, this might be partially because I have a broken token insert. Some of you might have fared better just doing it by your own way, but I didn't know how on earth you could fit everything in that box doing it the normal way. I had to have an insert in order to do it. But if, like me, you have an insert for this game, broken token or otherwise, you will not fit this in there. I mean, I can just about fit Invaders from Afar in here with the insert, because I think it was designed to hold that. But even then, the box lid is not flush. It's slightly raised up, but not enough that it would come off during transit or anything. So this is about as good as it gets. This will not fit in there. Even if you took all these tiles out, I mean, think about it. You've got all these first. So, got all those. Doesn't look like much, but you try finding that kind of space in your box right now. And then on top of that, you remember how big those miniatures were? Unless you're literally going to stuff them into every crevice you can find, they're not going to fit in there either. So you kind of have to accept that this is going to be a separate box. Now I hear on the grapevine that there's going to be a special sort of box released where it will hold everything to date as well as potential other expansions. So it will be your complete collector's box of Scythe. That sounds all well and good, but of course that's going to cost you money at the end of the day. But then if you've bought that many expansions, like me, you're a good fan of Scythe, so chances are I'll be getting that when it comes out. But for the time being, you're just going to have to accept that the storage on your shelf is going to look a bit like that. And there's not much you can do about it. It's a nitpick because I've got the space. This fits in a nice little cubby hold inside the Kallax shelf, just on top of other games. It's just a minor niggle that, when I want to bring Scythe to somewhere, I have to bring both boxes. But it's not enough for me to want to downvote the game necessarily, because to be fair, loads of other games fall foul of this. This is not an uncommon issue with games that do not make boxes so that expansions can fit in them, and there's a lot for Scythe. There are games behind me where it's inexcusable that the box doesn't fit everything, considering there's so little in there. But when you consider how much Scythe's got, the fact that they've got to keep this box, and this isn't the most obtrusive box in the world, to be perfectly honest. I mean, everything fits in here fine. You could probably have made the box a bit smaller if you didn't have the plastic case for the miniatures, but this doesn't really protrude from my shelf much, so I can let it off. So that's really it for Scythe the Wind Gambit. Mechanic-wise, it's a solid 10 out of 10. Love it to bits. These are modules that I want to throw in every single game of Scythe from now on. I want to shuffle those resolution tiles. I want to have those airships. You could even get this before you got Invaders from Afar. It's that great of an expansion. Granted, having all the factions is great, but I would be perfectly happy if I had the original Scythe and this before I got Invaders. That's how much I think this one beats it. But you're just going to accept storage issue. That's really all I can say. There is not much else. It's a small expansion, but it makes a big impact, and that's what a decent expansion should do. It shouldn't overcomplicate the game, but it should have a decent impact on the way it plays, and make the game feel fresh again. Not that I needed Scythe to feel fresh, I love this game to bits, but hey, I'll take this any day. So, that's it for me. Scythe, the Wind Gambit. Can't wait to see what else this game does. Love it to bits. But that's all I'm going to say for now. So, if this is the last video before Christmas, then have a merry one. If not, chances are I'll see you on the next Broken Meeple review. Take care, guys.